What happens when a good man, a husband, a father, does everything right, goes to work every day, loves his family, tries to provide, tries to live by the book, but life don't play fair? Today we're talking about a man who got hurt on the job, who has no help, no options, no insurance. Now he can't provide for his family. And the worst part, he don't want to live anymore. This episode is not just about him. It's about every man out there that's suffering in silence. Let's talk about it. Today we have a man who is married, has a daughter, has a job, and got hurt on it. He was working a job on a temp service. And one day while he was at work, while he was distracted, he had an accident. And after he got hurt, he found out that he was not covered on the job's insurance. And shortly thereafter, the job terminated him. Now, he was the sole provider for the family. And without any income coming in, the family has fell on very, very hard times. The wife is not able to get government assistance because he is living in the home with them. And with him living in the home with them, it makes them be over the income limit, even though he is not working now, which has left him, his wife, and daughter facing homelessness. His wife trying to work 2 jobs, not able to make ends meet, reached a breaking point and talked to him and told him that because he's living with the family right now, she's not eligible for any assistance from the government. And she told him because he's been sitting around moping because he's unable to work because of his injury, even though he has been applying for places, but because he's disabled right now, no one will hire him. And with the being terminated on his record, that's not making matters no better. So all of his efforts to find a job has not paid off. And now the family has reached a point where they're about to get evicted unless something happens. So she told him that he has to go. That's the only way that the family could make it, because by him being there, there's no help available. So after she told him this, he became very depressed because he looked in the mirror and see that he can't provide for his family anymore. He's injured, he can't work. And each day go by, he sees his family struggling more and more. And there's nothing he can do about it. So one night, he was sitting in the dark by himself, and his wife noticed that he wasn't in the bed, and she got up and went and found him sitting in the room alone crying. And he asked her, did she ever really love him? With tears in his eyes. And she told him, why you ask me that? Of course I loved you. And as he was crying and looking at her, he told her that I can't provide for my family no more. My hand, I'm injured. I can't work. I become a burden to you. And as he was saying all of this, the daughter had awakened and had come down and was listening. And she said to him, "Dad, don't talk like that. I love you. We love you." But at this point, he had reached his breaking point, and he had said that, "I have become a burden to you and your mother. I don't want to live anymore." And as he said that, his wife and daughter broke down in tears and grabbed him with the embrace so tight and told him, "No, don't talk like that. We love you. We're going to get through this." But that didn't help. He said, "No, there's no way. There's no other way now other than for me to get out of the way." And for the whole night, they stood by him until he went to sleep to make sure he didn't do anything. This is what we talk about. The pressure that's put on a man who have lost everything, is not able to take care of his family. He don't have any way of providing. The main thing a man is supposed to do is to provide and take care of his family. And when you can't do that, you reach the breaking point and you consider taking your life. And this is what this man has considered. After he lost his job, he saw his family struggling so hard. After being turned down, going looking for a job with his injury, day by day by day, instead of getting turned down, to finally, one day, he went into a store to steal because he was hungry and wanted to get some food for his family. He considered all the options, but he knew he had to provide for his family, and he couldn't get a job. And he got tired of seeing the hurt in his family's eyes, the hunger on their faces. So he went in a store and tried to steal some meat to bring home for his family. And he was caught, which added to the problems. His wife, they had to bail him out of jail, and the shame that he had, a person who's never been in trouble with the law, reduced to trying to steal to provide for his family. Faced with all of that, the shame of that, and the reality that he cannot provide for his family, was too much for him to bear. And he considered taking his life. That's what we're talking about. The pressures that men face when they can't find a job, for whatever reason, when they try to do everything the right way, and still you don't succeed. But you know you still have to provide for your family. So what do you do in this case? When providing for your family has pushed you to the brink of taking your life? Well, we have to talk about depression and mental illness in the community that happens to people that face a lot of stress like this. You know, you always like to say, It's going to be better. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying. So what do you do when you're faced with the shame of not being able to provide? When you don't have no way, you've tried everything. You've tried everything. You applied for every job. You got up every day looking for a job, but you keep getting turned down, and your family continues to struggle. Well, one of the things that I would like to talk about in this type of situation is how does something like this affects the wife and the daughter. Now have to know that the father has reached a breaking point. What do? How do you explain something like this to your daughter? See, this is a situation that's very close to me, and it's hard to talk about it. Especially when you know the person tried his best, and for whatever reasons, he just couldn't get another job. By an unfortunate accident, become disabled, only to find out you're not covered by the insurance because you were hired through a temp agency. And something like this has caused his family to fall apart. You know, we talk about talking to suicide prevention lines and people that can help with stress and anxiety and things that cause pressure on you that could push you to the breaking point. What would y'all say how would you explain this to a young kid? To see somebody they looked up to, who always took care of them. And now because the system has failed them, because I believe all jobs should have insurance to cover you in case you get hurt. I believe that should be a law. But how do you deal with that now? How do you explain something has pushed you to the breaking point to where you don't want to live no more? You know, society expects a person to overcome all of these types of obstacles. You know, they expect you to man up. You have to overcome whatever is put in front of you. So something like this happens. What do you do? How do you deal with the pain of a father watching his family struggle and you feel helpless? I'd just like to know what y'all think about this, because a lot of people may be going through similar things like this, because men like to suffer in silence and never talk about the things that really concerns them, that really means a lot to them. We like to let everybody know that we brave. A lot of time on the inside, we are dying, but on the outside, we want to put on a persona like we're fearless and nothing phases us. And in the end, that stress becomes overbearing. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what could be done when a person is pushed to the breaking point to where he feels that he has to go out and steal to provide for his family when there is no other alternative. Is there anytime it is okay to steal. You have people say there's good reasons for doing something. They were so hungry that they needed to go steal. Does that make it okay? Because you're going to be judged by the law. And in this case, a law-abiding citizen who done everything right, lived by the book his whole life, and got let down by the system because a job did not have insurance to cover a person who was injured on the job because you were hired through a temp agency. And now, something like that have caused this person to not have the will to go on anymore.